When did we decide as Christians that we would be immune from mental health struggles or diagnoses? I have yet to come across that in the Bible. If you have, please let me know in the comments. And if 1 in 5 American adults are going to experience a mental health condition in a given year, why do we believe that we are the exception? In today's video, I need to talk about something that doesn't get said enough. As Christians, we have mastered the skill of brushing people off and telling them to pray and have more faith during their mental health struggles. But we are so far behind in walking with them and supporting them through the process of actually healing. And so the question that we are considering and thinking about today is, does the church have a role and responsibility in today's mental health crisis? Let's get into it. Welcome to the channel. My name is Ashley. I'm a mental health expert who helps Christians heal their anxiety using Christ-centered neuroscience without the typical just pray more advice. Now, today's topic is especially important to me for several reasons, partially because of the mission that God has put on my heart, but I've also worked and studied in the mental health field as a therapist for the last 10 years, and I have personally experienced mental health struggles throughout my life. I remember sitting in the pew and seemingly doing all the Christian things while not being able to truly verbalize my internal struggles. And when I attempted, I was met with comments like, "You'll be fine, just pray about it, give it to God." And that only discouraged me from further sharing anything else about my struggles. So I kept it quiet, I internalized it, and mental health symptoms actually get worse when that happens because it's bottled up and you have nowhere for it to go. That is very alienating. Sometimes we take what we know about one mental health condition and then we apply it to all of the other conditions. Think about it. What would you say to a person whose mental health is collapsing and they've already prayed every prayer they know how to pray? Is that even something on your radar? It probably isn't, because even with all the knowledge that we have about mental health, stigma is still around, and there's so much that is still misunderstood about mental health conditions. Still labeled as sin, demonic possession, a lack of faith, or the idea that someone isn't right with God. Instead of people being met with compassion, they are met with judgment and rejection. That kind of judgment and rejection, it doesn't just hurt, it literally pushes people away, and it causes people that are in the congregation to stay silent about what they're going through. It reinforces, we don't talk about this. That is what is getting communicated to people when you are coming at this with an approach of, what did you do to cause your mental health struggles? And honestly, it's painful because the church is often the first place that people want to turn to when they are mentally struggling, as it is often seen as a safe place of refuge. So it would make a lot of sense for someone with mental health struggles to come to the church to seek support, guidance, and help. They're looking for that connection and they think they will be able to at least get it from the church. But when their pain is met with shame or seeing it as a sin problem instead of care, people learn to stop coming to they learn to be quiet about it. They learn that the church is not a safe place for them to go to. And that can be very devastating and heartbreaking for someone, because then they're saying, well, I don't know if I want to be connected to a God that acts like that. We're his representation. Some people's first introduction to God and Jesus is you. And so you can imagine that if someone comes to you and this is their introduction, what is that going to do? Where I see us missing the mark is in these overlooked opportunities to demonstrate and display God's love for a population that is underserved, unseen, and misunderstood. And honestly, I believe we aren't having enough fruitful conversations. Sometimes people are talking about it separately. When are we going to come together as a collective and really talk about this? Because we are missing opportunities to meet people where they are, to minister to them or pour into them, because we are oversimplifying mental health conditions and our responses. People are suffering because of that divide. I wish I could say this isn't still happening. I recently made a video about a young man, 24 years old, and his family sought guidance from the church leadership around his mental health struggles. And he was met with that response. Pray more, you need more faith, get right with God, do deliverance. And this young man lost his life during a mental health episode. A question I want you to ask yourself is, when we are responding this way, are we responding like Jesus? Did he turn away those that were in great grief, those that were struggling, those that were sick, those that were brokenhearted, those that were weary? Absolutely not. God didn't turn away people in those circumstances. Biblical characters experienced those things, and God met them where they were at. This oversimplification of suffering as a sin problem isn't new. There are examples of this in the Bible. Do you all remember Job's friend Eliphaz? Eliphaz concluded that Job's suffering and everything that happened to him were because Job sinned. And his solution was for Job to learn from God and repent. And that if he were to do those things, then God would automatically restore him. But what Eliphaz didn't understand or recognize was Job's suffering was because of his righteousness, not because of his sin. Job didn't do anything wrong. He was a man of God. And Satan said, if I remove all of that, he won't have nothing to do with you. That's why Job had his troubles, not because he sinned. The second example is actually when the disciples had asked Jesus, whose sin caused this man to be blind? Was it his own or was it his parents? Either way, they wanted to know what sin caused this. And Jesus replied, neither. And he explained that this man was born blind so that the works of God should be revealed in him. He was blind so that Jesus could heal him. And we know that this was a very important miracle and healing in Jesus' ministry because nobody was healing someone blind from birth. So that really supported Jesus's authority. That's the only reason that man was born blind. Many of y'all are acting the same way. You are focused on who sinned, what sinned, rather than how can I support or help this person during this time. Continuing to ignore mental health doesn't mean it's going to go away. The numbers of mental health conditions will probably increase. At minimum, stay the same. There are many reasons for mental health conditions. Sometimes it's environmental, developmental, biological, or other external factors. We are not unaffected by what happens in our society. That's just the reality. And a known concept in mental health treatment is that people have better outcomes when you approach them with a whole person perspective. If you want to help your members out, and you want to help out people that are coming in and seeking refuge from the church, see them as a whole person. Start there. And I'm not just saying this because I've learned this in school. I am saying this from my own personal experiences and witnessing it time and time again in other people's mental health journeys. It aligns with God's design of the body. We have one body and many parts, and they're all connected. One of the biggest ways that we can actually step up in our approach is through providing community and social support. If we don't change anything else and we just do that, you will see a difference. This is very important when someone is going through mental health struggles because sense of belonging improves mental health outcomes. A lot of people feel alone during their mental health struggle. Makes sense. Isolation is a symptom across many mental health conditions. But when people have fellowship with others, it helps to lessen the power of mental health struggle. And it has a very healing effect. If you want to know more about how isolation can actually limit healing, check out the video at the end. It explains why our progress can be stunted when we're trying to heal in isolation. But from the beginning, God said, it is not good for man to be alone. Provide them with meaningful connection. Better yet, can we just be kind and warm towards people when they're going through their mental health struggle? Can we embrace them? Can we show them that we actually care and that we see them? And for a lot of you, all you really need to do is just use your spiritual gifts and strengths to pour into others and provide emotional support. But the other thing I want you all to think about is how does this also translate into how you communicate and show up for yourself during your mental health struggle? Are you approaching yourself with this shame, judgment, rejection? Or are you demonstrating God's love to yourself? Wrapping up, I know that this conversation is bigger than one video, but this is where we can begin to see movement. My goal is not to attack the church, but it is to encourage honesty, compassion, and conscious accountability in how we respond to people who are struggling with mental health challenges. This includes also what you're saying to yourself during your mental health struggles. So if you want to comment below, do you think the church is getting mental health conversations right? Or do you think that we are missing the mark? Really curious to know what your perspectives are. Even if you disagree, this is how we learn from each other. If this conversation challenged you, let me leave you with one final thought. Understanding that mental health is more complex than a simple spiritual answer is one thing, but living through those struggles and finding a path forward is much harder. Real transformation happens when we learn how to apply both biblical wisdom and practical tools in your everyday life. Because it's one thing to agree that faith and mental health can work together. It's another thing to know what that looks like when you're actively struggling, triggered, exhausted, or barely holding it together. This is why I've created a special opportunity for people who are experiencing chronic anxiety, during which we integrate your spiritual faith with neuroscience. Healing requires more than a single sermon, social media post, conversation, or a video. It requires guidance and a safe space to process what you're experiencing. Together, we'll uncover the root of your anxiety to better understand what is happening beneath the surface, developing practical, personalized strategies rooted in biblical truth and evidence-based insights. Intentional application, and having someone who has gone through it walk alongside you in that process. You can do it alone, but it will take you a lot longer. I can tell you that from personal experience. So if that sounds like something you need, I would love to connect with you. You can learn more and book a free call with me. The link will be in the descriptions and the comment section. I really hope that this video was edifying and empowering for you, and that we are going to rise to the occasion and show people the love of God. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you in the next video.